You come home. The house is quiet, too quiet. The person who filled every corner of it is gone, and you don't know how to be a person anymore. Now, strip away the walls. Strip away the electric light, the phone, the neighbors, the whole soft machinery of the modern world. It's 40,000 years ago, and your husband, the one who hunted, who tracked, who stood between you and the dark, just died. His body is still warm. And the very first thing the women around you reach for isn't a blanket or food or comfort. It's a blade. They come toward your head, and they start to cut. Your hair falls in the dirt in dark clumps while you kneel there, numb. It feels like a punishment, like the world taking one more thing. But it isn't punishment. It's the oldest survival instinct we have, wearing the mask of grief. Losing your hair wasn't the cruelty. Keeping it might have gotten you killed. Today, hair is decoration. You cut it because you're bored, or because a stylist talks you into bangs, or because it's summer and you want the weight off your neck. You lose a partner today and the world hands you casseroles, a support group, a therapist, a bottle of pills to help you sleep. Grief is something you're allowed to survive slowly, in a warm room with people bringing soup. Nobody touches your body. Nobody rewrites your appearance in a single afternoon. But for most of human history, grief wasn't private and it wasn't slow. When a spouse died, the surviving partner didn't just lose a person. They lost their food source, their protection, their standing in the group, sometimes their entire future. And the body of the mourner became a public message, visible from across a valley, unmistakable at a glance. A shaved head wasn't a fashion choice or even really a feeling. It was information. It was a flag raised over a life that had just changed forever. And in a world with no writing, the body was the only page you had. Here's what this video is going to prove. The shaved head of the ancient widow wasn't about mourning at all. It was a survival technology, a piece of biological and social engineering disguised as ritual. And your own instincts still carry a faint echo of it today. The first force is parasites, and it's the least romantic reason of all. When someone dies of illness, their body doesn't just stop. The lice, fleas, and mites living in their hair and on their scalp go looking for a new warm host, fast. Body lice can carry typhus and relapsing fever, and in the cramped shelters of the ancient world, a mourner pressed close to a corpse for days was a perfect bridge for infection. At the Neolithic site of Çatalhöyük in Turkey, people lived and slept and buried their dead inside the same tight mud brick rooms, sometimes under the very floors they walked on. In a space like that, a head full of hair on a grieving widow wasn't a comfort. It was a nest. Shaving it off, right there, was crude field medicine no one had a name for yet. But what if the danger wasn't in the widow's body at all? What if it was in everyone else's eyes? A widow was suddenly a woman without a protector, and in some ancient groups, that made her a target for a forced new marriage, for exploitation, for being pushed to the bottom of the group. A shaved head marked her instantly as in mourning, do not touch, a social boundary you could read from a distance. Anthropologists studying grief customs across cultures have found this pattern again and again. The mourner is made visibly different so the group knows exactly how to treat them. The hair coming off wasn't just hygiene, it was armor made of absence. And here's the one that changes everything. The reason that has nothing to do with lice or safety, and everything to do with the dead. In many ancient belief systems, hair was thought to hold a piece of your spirit, your life force, your very self. To shave it at the moment of death was to offer part of yourself into the grave, to send something of the living down with the dead so the spirit wouldn't wander back, lonely and dangerous, to drag the widow after it. In parts of ancient Egypt, mourners cut or covered their hair and threw dust on their heads as the body was prepared. The blade at your scalp wasn't taking something from you, it was giving something away, a sacrifice paid in the only currency your body could offer. But strip all three reasons back, and underneath them sits one thing every ancient human depended on to survive a death in the group: the ability to signal, instantly and without words, where you now stood. In a world before writing, before ID, before any record of who belonged to whom, your body was your document, and nothing rewrote that document faster or more visibly than your hair. Think about the frozen man we call Ötzi, the 5,300-year-old mummy found in the Alps in 1991. His body carried tattoos, carefully placed, almost certainly meant to mark something: pain, status, belonging. His hair, his clothes, the tools on his belt all told a story to anyone who found him. Ancient humans read each other's bodies like we read faces in a crowd. So when a woman appeared with her head suddenly bare, everyone understood at once. This person has crossed into a different state. She is not who she was yesterday. Losing that signal, staying unmarked, blending in, looking untouched by loss, could mean being treated as available, or worse, being suspected of not truly grieving. In a group that survived on trust, being unreadable was its own kind of death. Here's the part nobody talks about. That brutal, forced haircut may have accidentally built something beautiful, the very roots of ritual, art, and human self-decoration. Because once you start marking the body to say something, you've invented symbolism itself. The shaved head sits in the same family as red ochre smeared on skin, as the first beads, as the first tattoos. Grief forced early humans to turn the body into a canvas, and that canvas never went away. The same impulse that shaved a widow's head is the impulse that later carved meaning into everything, that painted the dead, wrapped them, adorned them, and eventually built entire cultures around how a body should look at the edge of death. Loss didn't just hurt these people. It made them creative. It handed them a reason to invent meaning out of raw pain. And that invention outlived every single one of them. Look at Sungir in Russia, roughly 34,000 years ago. The dead there were buried with thousands of hand-carved ivory beads, arranged carefully over the body, proof that ancient humans spent staggering effort marking the dead long before farming existed. Go back further, to Qafzeh Cave in Israel, around 100,000 years ago. Bodies were found stained with red ochre, deliberately placed, some of the earliest evidence anywhere that humans treated death as something to be marked on the body, not just endured. Then Çatalhöyük again, 9,000 years old. People replastered their homes over graves and kept ancestral skulls close, sometimes coated in plaster and painted. The dead literally kept in the room, their presence never fully released. Cross to ancient Egypt, where texts and tomb paintings show mourners with disheveled or shorn hair, dust on their heads, wailing in the streets. Grief performed openly on the body for all to see. And look at the Andean cultures of South America, where mourners in some communities cut their hair and laid it with the dead. Hair as a gift, hair as a thread, still tying the living to the one they lost. So why does this keep showing up? In cultures that never met, on opposite sides of the planet. The anthropologist Arnold van Gennep gave us the answer back in 1909 in his book, The Rites of Passage. He argued that every major life change, birth, marriage, death, pushes a person through three stages: separation from their old self, a strange in-between liminal phase, and finally, reintegration into the group with a new identity. Cutting the hair, Van Gennep showed, is one of the clearest ways humans mark that first violent step, separation. The widow's shaved head is her old self falling to the ground. It's the visible cut between the woman she was married and the woman she must now become. Grief, in this light, isn't chaos. It's a doorway, and the body is how you're pushed through it. And here's where it reaches out and touches you. Think about the last time your life shattered. A breakup, a loss, a job gone, a whole future erased overnight. What did you want to do? For so many people, the answer is startlingly ancient. Change your hair. Chop it off. Dye it. Shave it. Show up different. We even have a phrase for it now, the breakup haircut. That urge isn't random, and it isn't shallow. It's a 100,000-year-old instinct rising up through you, whispering that when your inner world changes this violently, the outer body has to change too, or it feels like a lie. Your grief still reaches for the scissors. You just call it self-care now. So go back to that quiet house, the warm body, the blade coming toward your head in the firelight. You understand it now. The lice that could kill the living. The signal that kept the widow safe. The spirit sent down into the grave. The body turned into humanity's first page. The art and ritual born out of raw loss. The scientist who saw the doorway hidden inside the grief. And the same ancient hand that still guides yours toward the mirror when your whole world falls apart. They didn't shave her head to punish her. They did it to save her, to mark her, protect her, and carry her through to the other side of the worst day of her life. The hair grew back. It always grows back. But the person who walked out of that grief was never, ever the same. And maybe that was always the point.